All right, so I wish I could do chainsaws all the time, but I can't. I got other projects, and it's been suggested maybe I share some of my other projects with people. So this was a storage shed. I think you can see in there's a zero turn with a bunch of other stuff. So my project is, it's supposed to rain tomorrow. We're in spring thaw, but it wasn't totally thawed. I've been digging this thing out, and I'm gonna try to dig it the rest of the way out, and I'm gonna get this off of here, get this stuff out from under here. And I got another shelter, probably, hopefully more like this thing here, and I'm gonna build that. I'll put the other stuff in this shelter in the meantime, and then I'll build the new shelter there after I get that stuff out of there, and put it back in there. But that was a 10 by 16, so these are 12 by 20, so be hopefully a fair bit more room, and hopefully a fair bit more rugged, what we're gonna do. And I'll show you. It's part of a bigger project that I got going. Those shelters, that first 10 by 16 was replaced by that. It was like a little car storage shed, and it didn't last long. So I got this little lean-to I built like over a decade ago, and see, I don't know if I can get far enough back, but it just looks terrible. So my goal is to take the stuff, in that new shelter, and I'll either cut this back so it's shorter just to put wood under, get rid of all that gross plywood, a new supporting beam because that thing's rotted, or I'll just get rid of it entirely and maybe build something to match this other one. We'll see. But that's stage 2. Stage 1 is cleaning everything out of there into that new storage shelter that we're building. That's going to be about the size of that one there. So that's what we're doing today. All right, well, I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So far, we've picked this thing up with the backhoe, and I've started getting stuff out of here. So this catio was collateral damage. That was already wrecked from it falling on it, but the zero turn works and it's unaffected, so that's pretty sweet. I just got to get these bicycles and that pile of tires out, and then I can remove that shed in its entirety. So that's pretty sweet. Didn't get to record it, but yeah, it drove out of the ice and snow, which was pretty cool. And I got a couple of bikes in here, and we'll get everything out of there. Alright, so I brought these beams up. I happen to have them. I'm going to use them to keep it off the ground, number one, and number two, to add rigidity, so that, like in this one, when I tighten everything down, that it'll be able to stay nice and taut, because I'm going to screw these legs into the wood, and that way they'll stay a set distance apart. And I'll do one going crossways in the back, and it'll just add rigidity to the structure so that it can maintain its shape when it snow loads, to keep the snow, to have the snow come off. Now, I realize not everyone has a bunch of beams laying around their house, so if you don't, maybe pressure treated 2x8s or something at the lumber yard, but I would definitely get something because this definitely helps. This is definitely the way to move these boxes around. They're pretty heavy. All right. This is definitely the recommended way to support the project. But I guess if I had to work off the ground or whatever, but I'd probably bring my pickup truck over and put it on the tailgate if I didn't have this thing, because I like to work at a level instead of off the ground. And I'll take a look. There should be somewhere in one of these. I'm hoping to find a set of, you know, what items should be here, and hopefully a set of directions. Although this is like my third or fourth one of these, so I got a pretty good idea how they go together. This one seems a little different than the last one, so maybe it'll go together a little different. So all these frames, I'll put them together in one direction, but on the ends, on the back end and the front end, I'm going to turn one around so that these round pieces are on the outside, so that where the fabric touches it, it's not going to be catching this and rip it. So just remember that with the ends, keep these round pieces facing the fabric. All right, putting this thing together, all 6 sections, it's going to be these tubes that connect them, 3 on each section. So you see all of them have one end is open, one end is smaller, so that it can be slid into and they can all be connected, except for the last section, which is going to be large on each end. So there'll be 3 like this that I'm going to save for the last section. The rest of them will go together like this, and I do see actually that some of these have end caps, so I'm going to find the 3 that have end caps, and those will go on the end. Now that I've done that already incorrectly, but that's how we'll do it. All right, that's the first part, and next we'll tip up the legs. But remember, all these bolts, you get the smooth part facing where the tarp is going to go. Smooth facing the tarp. And then with that in mind, like I said, I reversed this last one, so it's in that same fashion. All right, so I got to do a little trimming up, but I'm gonna screw these pieces down. So far, overall, this isn't quite what I thought it would be. The way that these tie together, as you could see when I was putting the frame up, give it no stability whatsoever. The only thing keeping this from tipping over is these two bars here, which isn't a lot. And this really isn't nearly as tall. I'll try to, this was, I kind of think I got duped a little bit. This was supposed to be, or I thought it would be, exactly the same as the other two that I got. And I'll walk you up to them. So one, and I don't know if you can see it in the video, this is much taller. This is like at least a foot taller than what the other one was. And as you can see, where all these joints come together, it's reinforced. So there's, you know, whatever, 20 of these or 18 of these joints giving it support from moving this way and that way, which, like I said, those two crossbars, the only thing with this, so, or with this other one that we just put together. So far, I'm not as happy. It's not nearly as tall, and it does not appear to be as well made. And these tighten, you know, I tighten them with a drill or with an impact, where the other ones are hand tightened. And some of these just click in on this one. But the other thing is, these are all together. Like as I was putting this up, you could see the pieces kept falling out. That did not happen at all with this. And because of all these pieces, I didn't really have to mess around when I was putting one side up. It was very easy to do with one person. This one that we're building now seems like it's a lot more, you know, having two people would be a lot more useful with this one, because it was very unstable going up. It still doesn't seem super stable, so that's a bummer. All right, I'm gonna bolt this thing to the beams. All right, so all these are pinned in. I don't have them crushed, but as you can see, I'm attempting to bring these closer together. I'll get a tape measure and I'll measure 12 feet. And what I'll probably do is, these have holes in them, I'll probably drive rods down through this side, and then I'll set the other side at the 12 feet so I get the right distance across, which will hopefully give us the right height here, or a little more height than what we have at the 12 feet, because I measured and these are spread out a little bit. And then once one side's pinned, I'll bring the other side in, and then I'll pin that. And I think lastly what I'm going to do is, these diagonals are the only support the whole structure has. So I have some leftover pieces from the other shed that collapsed. I think I'm going to try to create a diagonal that goes a larger distance, and I'll measure that. And I'll do, if I have enough material, I'll actually do 4 diagonals, you know, 2 on each side, kind of like this, but bigger from there to there. And hopefully that'll gain some stability for the structure. Alright, so I got some old tractor drive shafts laying around, and I'm going to just cut these ends off, and I'm going to use these to pin those beams down. All right, I've run a weave like the instructions, and I've got the bottoms and this end cinched up with that weave, and then this will be the last piece here. Is I'll tighten this weave up to take hopefully all the slack out. All right, so that's strapped in. These little things are holding it. I'll show you from the outside, and I showed this one because of the height of the tractor. I'm not going to put the other one on because it won't even clear really this frame. But I'll show you what the outside looks like. And we're all set to shed weather, and I think this thing's tight enough to shed snow. I'll give it another tighten, you know, at the end of the season. We'll see how it does. We'll see how this thing does in general. I'm curious how this tarp's gonna hold up comparatively to the other ones. But if you're setting one of these up, hopefully this is helpful. And I will, like I mentioned, I will be adding reinforcements to that, but I gotta find, it's about, I measured it to be 117 and a half inches, so I gotta find something, because I didn't see anything readily available that I had. Maybe, you know, 2 or 3 of these poles or something. See what I can come up with, but I'll put them together, pound them out, and drill holes into them and add them kind of the same way this is, just spanning a larger area. And I'll probably go through and check all these tight because a couple of them were loose. Not really a big fan of this wing nut style setup at all. So if I was going out looking for one, I would definitely opt to buy one set up like the other one that I showed you rather than this deal. All right, so this was the first set I got, and I got this one and this one off Temu for $278, and then this one, which we just put together, I couldn't find those anymore. This one I got off Temu for $478, and the picture of it on Temu is not what I got, or the description. The height here, as we measured, is 8'6" without the 6-inch block, so it's like 9 feet tall. And these joints are different than what was pictured. So I contacted Temu, and they offered me to either give me a partial refund or I could pack it back up in a box, which, as you saw, the boxes were destroyed, and return it for a full refund. So it's already together. I have been able to get the tractor into it. Like I said, I'm gonna do these reinforcement diagonals on it. So I took the $100 that they gave me back. So $378 for this one, $278 for those, but you can't find them anywhere now at all. So this was kind of the next best deal for what I was looking for. But these ones, anywhere else I see them now, they're $650. So I guess $378 still all right. But that's what we got. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit for the end of it. And I did leave a review saying that. They asked me before I could leave the review. They tried to intercept me, but I had already got the $100. So I think if I didn't do that, I might have been able to get more, but I had already done it. Hope that's helpful.